Welcome to Let's Talk Business. I'm your host, James Price. This podcast has been designed to address business pain points, often neglected, but if dealt with correctly, can really enhance business value and performance. I've had over 30 years experience in business, and I currently own JPO Business Proprietary Limited, a business valuation, advisory, and transaction firm. We help private business clients across Australia and internationally grow, change, and enhance the value of their businesses. Welcome to Let's Talk Business podcast. I'm your host, James Price, and this is episode 15, and we've got a treat today. We're staying in the local area in Western Sydney, and in fact, our next guest, Ozzy Tupai Scanlan, hails from St Mary's, where he has a business. It's an apparel and clothing business with designs that I would say have meaning. He focuses on the sport, school, and workwear sectors and the community sectors. And in fact, Oz is pretty thick in the local community. He's part of the For the Area network, and it's great to have you, Oz. Welcome.
Hey, what an introduction, man. Damn.
Hey, what an introduction. Do you want to do it again?
Wow.
Did I miss something?
I'm like, wow. All right, man. No one introduced me that way. So.
Look, I'm really happy to have you on board.
No, man, it's an honour to be here.
Yeah, and it's nice to talk about you and what your journey's been like, and also your business.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually mention the name of your business. So
TRXX, baby.
Yeah. So tell us about TRXX.
Yeah, TRXX is just it's just what you said. It's apparel company. Look after school, sports, and workwear. Yeah. But it's just.
And how did it come about? Like, how long has it been around, and how did it?
Just through sports, man. We used to create. I used to create like a lot of sports designs just through my phone. Yeah, and it just started from there. Like I used to create it just for just Oz tag teams and touch teams and things like that. And then I was like, frick, just imagine if I could just find my own suppliers instead of just going through suppliers like myself nearby. So that's how it started. So
how long ago was that?
4 years ago now.
Yeah, and
so this would be roughly like our fourth year.
Really?
Yeah, man, jumping into it. Yeah, because we were in America. Around 4 years ago. That's how I remember.
How good?
It's just that American trip.
But why were you creating those designs? Did you just like designing stuff, or was it just something that you enjoyed doing for a team, or what?
I think the passion came after, you know what I mean? I think just going back and forth with some of the team members. Yeah. And then I just thought, why not just, create something that, just try to be different to the rest, I guess, and then that's when the passion just blew up, and here I am now, bro. So it's been good.
So you say the passion, but I mean, what feels good about running your own business and building tracks, like for you?
Yeah.
Like what makes you get out of bed every day in a passionate sense?
For me, the passion is 100% just making sure that I provide for my family, you know what I mean? And that's where my energy comes from, bro. So just always making sure that I can do something that I could do something for my family. So that's where it starts off, and then
it goes from there.
Yeah, and it just goes from there. So I just get motivated that way, you know what I mean? Just always making sure just the smallest things, bro. Just make sure I can put food on the table. All good, man. Roof on top. I'm easy.
How do you keep a lid on those expectations? Because as you get, success drives success, right? But it has the potential to drive a whole bunch of expectations beyond the base level ones, yeah?
Yeah.
So how do you keep your feet on the ground, man? You got some big feet there. They're probably bigger than mine, which is a
size 13, so.
Oh no, size 13. Well done,
man.
They're size 13. I gotcha.
Yeah, man. I always say to my partner, man, I'm just on cruise control, man. I never want to go too slow. I never want to go too fast, and I just always want to make sure that something's driving me. And plus, my religion is a massive part of me. Reason why I am this way. You know what I mean? So I always say I'm always steady, because as quick as money can come in, I can also lose it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm always on that level-headed, always be humble and just where I am. So that's just how I look at things, you know what I mean? Like, I don't try and slow down or try and speed up.
Yeah.
I'm always just on that cruise control and just making sure that I just grasp everything, that I see.
I really admire that.
Yeah.
And you've told me that religion is important to you, that spiritual connection. What is it that's so important about that?
Oh, for me, it's just with my beliefs, it's just making sure that you're just a good person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hope that I can sort of give that give that off, especially in their first impression or the first time I meet someone. So just making sure they can see that, and hopefully we can connect after that, just because they know that I'm a good person. So if I can deliver that the first time I meet someone, and then it's a win for both of us.
But is that about not necessarily, in business, it can be very transactional, right?
Yeah.
You got something to sell, I need something.
Yeah.
It's got a price, wham, bam, deal done, right?
Yeah.
But I almost think the way you describe that there about being a good person, you're not actually setting out to sell anything to start with.
Yeah.
I use the business analogy, but could equally be on a personal level, right?
Yeah.
I was reflecting the other day with a mate, and we were saying that not many people like to take an interest in you when you have a discussion.
Yeah.
Mostly a discussion tends to move to the other person very quickly. But not many people will just sit there and say, so tell me about yourself. What is it? What's going on? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's almost a very unselfish approach that you're kind of articulating, I think. Yeah?
Yeah. I do understand that business can become about it can get dirty and things like that, but I think for me it's if I can go bed at night and know that I just kept to be myself, I'm all good, trust me, you know what I mean?
Love that.
I don't care if someone if a client comes out there and just blasts me and things like that, there's ways for me to sort of rebound from that. But if I know that I did my best in my own ability, just being true to myself, I'm fine with it. I can go sleep.
You're happy about that?
I'm happy about that.
So where did that come from, Oz? Was that early days?
Yeah, early days.
With your mum and dad?
Man, 100% my dad. And my dad was a massive mentor, an early mentor, with us, just be good people, you know what I mean? And my grandpa was totally different. My grandpa was fully hey, someone hits you, you hit him back.
Really?
So my dad, they had a father like that. I think he just sort of just went, hey, you know what I mean? Son,
I'm not going to be that.
If someone hits you, go to the teacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes, so I think my dad was that sort of person, with me, just try to, approach things differently, you know what I mean? And, he probably learned from that, from his mistakes and things like that, the reason why he sort of changed his, upbringing. But my parents were massive, mentors in my life, growing up. So,
were they?
Yeah. 100%.
And how did you look upon your dad, and how do you look upon him now? Do you revere him, or is he a sort of an equal or a friend, or how do you
he's definitely not my friend, because I just love viewing him as my father, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know you probably hear a lot of relationships here and there say, oh yeah, my father's just my best mate. Yeah. But I say that in a way, it's just because I just respect him, you know what I mean? And
yes.
Just because he's just been a good father throughout my whole life,
Yeah.
I never looked at him as a friend. I just just looked at him as just when they say father figure, that man, that's what it is. So I just respect him in every level, So he's always looked after us and cared for us, and sort of just just try to bring the best out in us, and just making sure that when we're out in the world, we just got to be wary that there are bad things that can come.
Yeah.
But just make sure that you don't react bad back to that. You know what I mean? So. Here and there, just in my upbringing, I sort of reacted bad, but that's just because of my own nature.
Yeah.
But then I just reflect back, I'm what would my dad do? You know what I mean? What would Jesus do sometimes for me?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So man, that's just how.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, man. I was never known to be that sort of person. Some people probably look at me first go and just go, "Fuck, this guy." I hear it too many times. This guy doesn't look like a good guy. You know what I mean? I just stick my head. You know what I mean? So, but like, for those who know me, yeah, man. But like I said, all I really care about, if I can go to sleep at night and I've done the right thing.
You're pretty happy.
I'm happy, man.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, I mean, I don't want to summarise because it's not for me to typify, right? But you sort of described your dad very much as a leader of your family. Yeah. And but someone that was looking out for you.
Yeah.
Right, but guiding you as well.
Yeah.
It's a tricky role, a leader in a family or a business or a group.
Yeah.
I feel, because how much do you support someone and guide them and care for them and have their back?
Yeah.
But also, how much do you let them find their own way? Yeah, and make a few mistakes.
Yeah.
Get their fingers burnt a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. He's definitely done that. Like, with me. You know what I mean? But sometimes I was always that kind of guy that would be like if I knew I did something wrong, I'll always end up just going back to him and just say, "Hey, Dad, man,
I stuffed up."
This, you know what I mean? And then my dad would give me advice, even godly advice and things like that, for me, that sort of gives you that peace of mind.
Yeah.
And sometimes I always felt that that's all I needed. You know what I mean? And just to make those next choices. So it wasn't just my dad. My mum would be like that. You know what I mean as well. So it's always good just to have that that relationship with my parents where I can sort of just if something's going really bad, I'll be like, knock knock, hey Dad, hey Mum, you know what I mean? So I'm never ashamed of that, because I do know one day that they're not going to be here, you know what I mean? So I take it, like I say, with both hands, that I got a good relationship with my parents, because I know that it's not like that for everyone else.
It isn't like that for everyone else. There's a lot of frayed families for all sorts of reasons, right? And you've described, a massive strength of foundation there. And, just before we came on, we were talking about your two beautiful kids, your girl and boy. And I guess you're now faced with, passing on some of those attributes in your own way to those two little fellas. Yeah. Is that challenging?
Yeah, it's definitely different, because I think, with in a modern society, kids are sort of hooked onto social media. They're just more exposed to things around, and we just got to for me, I just got to be really careful in how I parent my kids compared to how my dad did. So I think for me, it's just with the knowledge that I have now, I'd love to pass it on to my kids and things like that. For business, my dad wasn't a business kind of guy, but he sort of gave me some good tips in life.
Yes.
But now that I've sort of educated myself, I'd love to pass it on to my kids but I'm not going to push them to be like me.
No.
But just just sort of give them advice and tips like that, sort of a different kind of parenting style.
Yeah, I like that.
My dad, but still have that foundation that my dad has given to me. Just be a good person to people. I'd love to pass it on to my kids, so.
Just be a good person to people.
Man. Far out.
I mean, just be a good person to people. That's so simple, eh?
Yeah.
But yet so, it's like a major achievement in this world, isn't it?
100%. And my mum is massive on that. You know what I mean? My mum goes, hey, whoever hurts you, you know what I mean? Never ever try and have a revengeful thought against them. And I think it. A lot of people, sort of come to me and goes, "Oh, Ozzy, man, how are you doing, man? Don't you want to get them back?" I'm like, I do, but my positive always overrides my negative. You know what I mean? And that just comes I always have good peace of mind knowing that, So,
but I was trying to dig for what drives that, and I was going to say to you, you must have extraordinarily, well-developed patience, right? But perhaps you do, but you also have the positive, as you say, you're a glass half full guy, and that always trumps the negative. And that's how you deal with those situations. Does it mean you have a very much a long-term view on things?
I don't know. Yeah, like I think for me, it's like I think, like every day that I just wake up, just in general, like I just have that mindset, man. So I never try think of things down the line, like much, but like I just try to sort of like if I'm able to impact someone like today, I'm just more focused on
You're
today.
pretty happy about that.
Just today, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, nice.
It's like for business, I want to succeed long term, but I think if I can sort of just
sort it out today,
impact with whoever I'm sort of just like connecting with, the camera guy, if I can sort of just like just focus on who I'm with and like, what I'm doing now, I'm good.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Hey, how did the word TRXX come about?
TRXX, yes, it's as simple as there's much more meaning behind it. Like I've got to sit down and write things, but it's but it's just like basically just like a running track, you know what I mean? Like tracks, you know what I mean? So it just means like keep on going, don't stop, you know what I mean? So if you go on a running track, like you see it, you know what I mean? And like if you jump on it, the only reason why it stops is because you stop, you know what I mean? But it's endless, I
love that.
So so like for me, it's it like relates back to sports, like where like it all started, but that's what it just basically means, just endlessly. You just keep it going all day.
All day.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'll just break in a little bit because how we got to know each other, it's funny how tracks cross paths.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think I was in the Revolutions gym at St Mary's.
And I was jogging fast,
And you were jogging fast. And then you were on the bench that I wanted to get on and I got rid of you.
Yeah.
And I think you might have seen one of my reels that same day.
Yeah.
Right?
Bro, it was like the exact same day, and I think you're with Sonny's.
Yeah.
My mate's brother.
Yeah.
But like
with
I didn't quite get it until after. I was like, that guy just looked familiar. So even when I seen it, I was like, oh, this guy's familiar.
Yeah.
But then I just remembered, and then I went back on the reels. I'm like, I swear I've seen him somewhere. But then I clicked onto Sonny because Sonny shared it.
Yeah, he did.
That's him. Yeah.
It's funny how paths to cross, isn't it? I mean, I get the feeling that you've developed a pretty strong network in that sense.
Yeah.
In the local area. I mean, I'd suffice to say, for me, you look thick in the local area, right? Like, FTA, you're heavily involved. Your clients, I think, there's a lot of schools and sporting groups.
Yeah,
that you
appreciate the local
in
schools, man.
Yeah. I mean, is the local area important to you?
Yeah, I love it. I love everything just about Western Sydney. Everyone always asks, like, what is it about Western Sydney that you love? And I'd say everything.
Everything?
Everything, man.
But be more specific.
Yeah, yeah, man, probably just like, sort of the people that I just connect with, I always have this like sense, like, I know Western Sydney, there's a lot of broken people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that's trying to make it out there. Some of them sort of go like the wrong way.
Yes.
And I feel for them because like a lot of them just don't have that patience in like trying to just educate themselves and trying to make money and things like that. They're just not patient, you know what I mean? And I think it just comes back down from their household because their parents are not educated.
Yes.
Their parents are just like, if you want to go, if you want to get money, just go down to the warehouse, you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with like, people working in the warehouse and things like that. But I just feel like there's people here that want to make much more than what they're making at the warehouse, Yeah. And so I just always have that soft spot, that soft spot, like spot around that. And I just feel like, if I can, help out people and sort of like, mentally as well, you know what I mean? Like if I'm there mentally for them as well, help them out, or even just try to distract them through sports and like things like that, like what we do with FTA. And then like now, like with business, if I can help out people, just speak more about business and just open up that vocabulary, I guess. That's why I'm at right now.
Nice.
In life, and just try to help out people. Even yesterday, this guy wanted to open up his brand. He came through to the office, things like that. So it's good that they reach out to me for that because I'm keen just to help people out.
And what sort of advice would you give them? I mean, because, you said patience there.
Yeah.
And
it's patience, man.
it is, isn't it?
When you cook chicken in the oven, man, you got to take it. It takes time, you know. You can't eat it straight away.
I know you've got a Samoan heritage, and I've got a mate who's also Samoan, and he always has a go at me about cooking chicken, right? Because he always says, James, you got to get it out of the fridge, let it sit, get the temperature right, take your time. And here I am getting it done, right? As a young guy, and I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I had a real problem with patience. And I still have a problem, right? You know, it's difficult. And I can't. I'm not the best person to ask about patience, right? But you're saying to all those budding entrepreneurs or people that think they might like to be in business. First and foremost, you've got to be patient. You've got to give it time. What else have you got to do you think, in those early days, if you reflect back on your early days of TRXX and even now, what are the things that, you know, set the foundations, do you think?
Oh, man, I would always be real with people, you know, like I just, teach myself, you know what I mean? And thank God for the college that I went to, the College of YouTube.
The College of YouTube.
Man, I went online and I just started typing things in, because when I first started TRXX, I was doing everything from my phone. It was like through an app. And no one knows that. So, and then I would pay someone to turn it into PDF to send to the supplier, you know, because they would always ask just for PDF. And then, but for me to get to that next level, because there was a lot of things that I couldn't create on my phone where people started getting more technical with designs, like, can you do this? I'm like, crap. So then I knew that I had to sort of level up and learn Adobe Illustrator. And that took me roughly good 3 months to get it done properly. And you know, that was but I knew that I had to be patient. I didn't want to rush it, you know what I mean? So then I went on YouTube, started asking questions and things like that. So, and it took me roughly 3 months to get to that level. To get to that level, just to know how to create properly.
So that's incremental, right? But it also, you know, as you talk about it, I can't help feeling like you had the confidence in yourself. Did you ever doubt yourself through that process?
Nah, man, straight up. I knew, if I had to do something, you know what I mean, I really had to put my head down, you know. So I remember in high school, there's a subject that I liked, and it was legal studies. And I hated everything else, you know what I mean. So, and it was the only subject that I passed, but that was the only subject that I studied.
Really?
It was the only one.
Isn't that interesting?
And it just shows that if you put work in, you know. And I just didn't like school in general, you know what I mean. So, but for some reason, I just liked that subject, and it was the only one that I was studying, and it just made. And then I'd always look back to it, and that's when I knew, if I studied something, you can sort of, but
you got to back yourself, and you got to put the work in. Is that where things come undone? Is that where people, you know, they have the aspiration, and they get partway there, but the work, gets them? What's the nexus there? What do you see?
I think, backing yourself is one thing, but then I think a lot of people just get very excited thinking that they're going to open a brand. And once they sort of put it up on Instagram, and they haven't even studied, they haven't even sort of found the supplier, but they're putting up this post on Instagram, hey, coming soon.
I got this.
You know what I mean? So, you know, you can sort of get caught up in that. But but then when it gets to the hard work, a lot of people, when people start realizing it's actually hard work, that's when they sort of just fade away from it, you know what I mean? And if people can just realize that hard work is part of the process, you know what I mean? And the hard work is one of the most important elements to getting into any business. You know, and like I said, if I say to everyone, you know what I mean, it's hard work, it's not easy, you know what I mean? And the earlier I can sort of give that across to them, it'll better for them just to reflect back at home and just realize, you know what, it is hard work, and I've got to work hard to get to it.
And I'm prepared to have a go.
Because you're right, man. It's the hard work, man, people don't want to do.
It's interesting though, you know. As time goes on, if you stick at it, my experience. Time in the market matters.
Yeah.
And slowly the snowball builds.
Yeah.
And you don't notice it. but then it's a huge snowball.
Yeah.
Right? And it builds
Yeah.
and it builds. And you chip away. And it's a journey. But it's hard to get to that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're in the swamp, early days, and the crocodiles are all around.
Oh, 100%.
And you're thinking, this is tough, you know?
People like, and I think people just want that easy, like, oh, they just want it now, you know what I mean? A lot of people just like think, once I jump into business, man, I'm gonna get this and that, you know what I mean? People don't realise that you gotta build to get that, you know? My mate goes to me, you know, he just starts seeing my post and he hits me up, he's like, hey, rah, you're gonna start wearing Gucci all day. And I'm just like, but for some reason, I don't even view that, like,
No.
even if I do make, like, money, like I'm happy with just wearing Nike and things like that. And like I said, like a time will come and I believe, you know, if I do get more money, I hope I can use it to, like, as a tool just to help, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Help my family even more, you know what I mean? But that's just how I view money, you know? Like, and some people view money as just like materialistic things we'll make. Soon you're going to rock Gucci everywhere.
Yeah, well, everyone has a right to view it how they wish,
Yeah,
I
100%.
guess. But it sounds to me like, you know, you want to use that money to create more value for the people you think can go places. Yeah. It's interesting about hard work and just wanting to get there.
Yeah.
My personal trainer at the gym, Clayton.
That's a good example, man. Yeah.
Right? Clayton Karaka said to me the other day, I was talking about my clients and I was saying, you know, sometimes I come across a client and they're in business and they just want a silver bullet.
Yeah.
You know, they just want the answer, the silver bullet,
and then leave.
One shot, fix it, right?
Yeah.
And he said, James, the only silver bullet is the client. Tell the client they're the silver bullet.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, you know, your drive, your inspiration, your will to succeed is the silver bullet.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to pull on information, and in your case, you've taught yourself along the way.
Yeah.
But there's only one person driving that bus,
Yeah.
And that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think it's really interesting. You're in the game of apparel.
Yeah.
Clothing and designs, right?
Yeah.
Sport, schools, teams, community. I know you've got clients throughout this Western Sydney area, but you've also got clients interstate, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now, that's a very competitive market, Oz.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah,
so here you are. You've set up this business and you're 4 years into it and you're cracking along from what I can see. What makes you different? How are you different to some of these other players? Because it is, like, I've had a bit of experience in that game for many years.
Yeah.
Different areas.
Yeah.
I don't know it like you do.
Yeah.
But it's tramped over by a fair number of big players, yeah?
Yeah, it's been good, man. It's so weird when people ask me that, hey, what makes me different? But I think, for me, it's like, what's worked with me is just having a good relationship with the client.
Yes.
So like, I'm not sure if that's what they're doing already, but even just trying to change things, like, with the Year 6 leavers, like a lot of, when I approached, when the school approached us, and that was just through a parent just saying, oh, why didn't you go through, tracks for just Year 6 apparel, and then I was just trying to be different. So I just wanted to make the design just unique for that school. So what companies do, they send out like pamphlets and you choose, which one. So there's like 10 designs they can choose from. But then then the school asked me if I have something like that. And then I said, now why don't we create something just for the school that your school has that no one else will have?
Really?
So we just make it unique to you. So then a lot of schools ask, oh yeah, can we put like an Indigenous design that's just related to our school? So then the kid end up just creating something, and then we just basically put whatever the kid wanted just on the shirt. So that's how we just sort of, so then all the schools we work with now, everything sort of, went that way. So a lot of schools it came to us and just said, man, your designs are crazy, compared to what we had in previous years. Could we do something similar? So so we got the kids involved, in creating the Year 6 lever, and then we sort of just just made it flow. You know what I mean? Like, there's some crazy designs where you're like, no, that can't be on a shirt. We'll give the school a call and say, hey, we could put it on the shirt, but let's make it, like cool instead of sometimes, because sometimes it could just become messy.
So isn't that interesting, right? Like, it sounds obvious, but you're kind of connecting the kids, the school with the design.
Yeah.
Rather than just simply putting a design on a shirt and saying, here it is.
Yeah.
It sounds very simple, but it's like it's an intangible kind of connection.
Yeah.
But, I guess they've got a feeling of ownership, right? When they see that design on their shirt, when they put it on of a morning before they go out onto the field, or when their parents are barracking for them, it's part of the culture of the team. Yeah.
And that's the thing, because with the templates, like another school can just walk down the road and have the same design but just their school colours. So that's with all the schools that we work with, we completely just said, nah, we don't do this. This is how we do it.
Yeah.
And they loved it. Yeah. So we don't even I know it can be like a shortcut kind of things for how business works, so they can just go in and out. But I feel like if we can sort of create that relationship and get the kids involved, hopefully we can do that. Many years comes with these schools. So
yeah, look, it sounds so simple, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I love that about business today. In such a competitive environment, whether it's your industry, your sector, or any other, you can, if you want to go into business and if you want to put in the hard yards, you can find a point of difference and make a good living and be valued by a client base, regardless of how competitive it is.
Yeah.
If you're prepared to, eke out what's of value.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'd have a client looking to enter a new market.
Yeah.
And they might say, look, we want to develop this new mousetrap, right?
Yeah.
And the trouble is the mousetrap's too small for the size of the mouse.
Yeah.
So, it's a point of difference, but it's not going to sell, right? But what I think you've done is you've harnessed your client and the emotion around why they need the garment.
Yeah.
To offer something that the bigger guys might be offering at the edges, but they're not specialising in it, are they?
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah. It's funny because we spoke at the cafe, you know what I mean, about one of my Queensland clients, and the mother calls me and she goes, oh man, at first she asked, goes, oh yeah, are you tracks? And then she asked, and she also asked if I was from Sydney. It's I don't even know why my kids want to go to Sydney, but they said they only want to go through tracks. We're based in Queensland. And then I said to her, oh, that's awesome news then, you know what I mean? And then she sort of laughed and we sort of bantered here and there. And she goes, oh, like I said, it'd probably be a quicker turnaround if we just do it in Queensland. And then I sort of just went, hey, but your kids want tracks.
Yeah.
So instead of me just trying to be professional, I sort of just went in a funny sort of way. And she just started laughing. And then she goes, oh, yeah, you got good humour as well. You know what? We'll come to you then, So it was just funny that her kids sort of chose us, over just, whatever local apparel companies in Queensland. So
I mean, I know you don't underestimate it, but that story to me is a sign of real value, right? You don't get that.
Yeah.
Where basically the kid who was getting the garment was specifying, I want this brand.
Yeah.
And, I want Nike brand for my shoes and I want Trax brand for my apparel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Nike has done.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? For example, there it is there, right? But you've done it with Trax.
Yeah.
Right? You should be very proud of that. I mean, it must have been quite a moment for you, yeah?
Yeah, man, I think I take those moments my emotions are different, man. I sort of laugh it off. Even when I told my missus, I was like, bro, that's funny. You know what I mean? That's funny that the kids, because it wasn't the first time it happened, but it was the first time someone called me. So every time, it's been more of my team only wants to go through you. And then, if someone just wants to create a new team, some people are very they just want to know info about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So But then, but like a lot of the team members already made stuff through me, and they're like, no, we want to only go for your tracks. So it's still pretty funny in a way for me just to be like, far out, man, because it's so easy for them just to go local, and like support their local, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're getting a whole heap of clients from Queensland coming through us, and it's been amazing.
But Oz, like in all this discussion, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, someone's got to part with some big ones to get the merchandise, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't mentioned price at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there is a price.
Yeah.
Of course there is. But true value is created beyond price. And whilst it is funny, and you should, you can reflect on it like that, and that's part of your endearing, humble nature, I have to say. Like, one of the keys in my book, from my experience with successful businesses, is the really successful businesses, they know to a T the value that the client gets from them. In whatever form it might be. And what that allows them to do is provide that on a consistent basis. But it also allows them to choose over time the clients that they can best present that value to, right? Because, some clients aren't necessarily suitable for a business. Because, I've got, for instance, a business in regional New South Wales, and they make a screaming good profit. And they're in the building services construction game. They make a profit that's probably 3 times the industry benchmark for the same sort of business. Right? That's the dollars. But what they're very, very good at doing is, of the 10 clients that they might take on, they will only choose 5 of them. Because, not because they want to discriminate, but because they know that those 5 they can deliver real value. And the others, because of those clients' needs, they're not going to be able to best serve. Right? So being able to do that, they can segment the market, and both the client and the business wins. Right? And, all credit to you on that story from Queensland, because I think it shows that...
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you've developed some real value in a very competitive market.
I just never knew, like, it was going to grow this big, to be honest, like, especially when I first started. I just wanted to, I always wanted to get into business, but like I said to my partner, we just really wanted to take my daughter to Disneyland. So that's how it all started.
Really?
I was like, hey, let's just pretend, you know what I mean? Let's just make it as a side hustle. And then, like I said, like I've been affiliated with FTA for for a very long time, and I feel like the community backed me, and I was just like, crap, I'm getting all these orders, bro. I legit just launched last week just from my Facebook, and everyone that I knew just started saying, oh, like you're doing Oz tag, you're doing basketball. I'm like, oh man, this is pretty cool. So that's how we ended up taking my daughter to America. It was just because of that money that was coming through.
That's lovely. So you always wanted to get into business. Why? Was that? Was it just a bit of a passion to try it out, or a bit of an intrigue, or was it more about supporting your family and thinking that was the best way?
I used to work at a company called Symbian, and my brother gave me a call, and he goes, hey, would you ever just be keen at being a sales manager? And I'm just like, what the heck, sales manager? And I spoke and then after work he goes, give my boss a call. And then I gave him a call, and then I just started being cheeky with him. You know what I mean? just over the phone, and he goes, hey, I like you. You're keen to start with me next week? And I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? And then I go to him, hey, am I going to get a business card to move around? He's like, yes, you are. I'm like, let's go. So it just started from there. And then, I became confident in just speaking to operations manager of clubs and all that. We're selling products, urinal products. For PJ Gallagher's and all those groups. And And I got the green light before I even finished off my pitch. And a lot of the guys were like, mate, I just like you, buddy. You know what I mean? So I just sort of, seen the value in that. And we got, we even had the contract to some of Rashay's and Westfields and Hoyts. So it was pretty big. But then, my boss always promised that he was going to give us some bonuses. And I sort of just sort of like, knew my value early because I was smashing all these sales for
Yeah.
them. And then, here I am just, waiting for that bonus. They kept on promising month after month. And then I'm just like, bro, I'm going to leave. You know what I mean?
So it didn't happen, right?
It didn't happen. So he just, it was funny. He just, got his new car and things like that. He ended up just not coming to the office and things like that. But it's all good. But I've learned early, what my value was and what I can do in a business because I took it with two hands, I actually thought it was like pretty cool having just a business card, go home with it.
I love that.
And things like that. But yeah,
so
like I said, I wanted more.
You're secretly competitive though.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I guess.
Sort of?
Yeah.
I don't say that in a bad sense.
Yeah.
So,
I was confident, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was confident going to a place where I just, I always said to myself, hey, get this contract. And I would always talk to myself, you know what I mean? And just G myself up.
But is there a little, sorry to interrupt, but is there a little sort of thing inside you there that
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to beat that target.
It's just making sure that I can sort of respect my dad and, bringing me here. My dad came from he's a migrant, at the end of the day, he grew up in Samoa and things like that. So I've always had that sort of respect, I got to make him, make him proud and just make sure that, my dad didn't waste his money, bring my whole family here to Australia, so I've always had that, the back of my mind.
Well,
that's what drives me, today as well, just making sure that, instead of me just trying to be like a sports player and, got a whole heap of mates that do other stuff, and but I always want to respect my dad in that way, my parents in that way. So so even when I was doing the sales and things like that, just try to get those contracts, I would always just want to represent them as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is that part of your Samoan culture, or is that just part of?
Yeah, 100% it is. That's what that's what we do. You know what I mean? We just want to respect our parents, and like I said, with no education these days, I got mates out there that still, proud Samoans, but currently lock up or right now. So, and they sort of reflect now, in lock up. We have, we get good conversations here and there, and they sort of regret it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's sometimes it's it's not too late, but it's too late for them that they're in there for a couple of years, and I would always try to help them out and just saying it's good that you're reflecting now.
Yeah.
So when you when you come out, you can sort of the best that you can be. But yeah.
I mean, it's never too late,
Yeah.
right? But they've got a mountain to climb.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's harder. You know what I mean? The pathway just gets smaller for them. So but like I said, if they can come out and just have that positive mind, it could be enough for them.
It's a starting point. Yeah. I mean, Samoans in Australia. Yeah. I mean, Brian To'o.
Yeah.
Jerome Luai.
Yeah.
Junior Polo.
Yep.
Ozzy Scanlan. Hey, I mean, you're cutting us away, right? Like, pretty impressive.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a proudness there, but I mean, I'm fascinated to hear you say that part of your drive is respecting what your father did, and your parents did in coming here as migrants.
It's the ultimate give back, you know what I mean? I think for me, hear my dad's story and things like that. And, probably every Islander family, we hear the same story, with their parents saying, hey, I used to walk to school with no shoes. And then you hear the ridiculous stories. I used to walk with no shoes and then swim across just to get to the school. You know what I mean? So, you hear, sometimes you hear the exaggerated stories, but then you actually think back, it's it's maybe true, you know what I mean? And and then you hear conversations about parents just laughing at it. Do you remember we used to have to walk this way, and you're far out. It is true, you know what I mean? So I think just knowing that we got vehicles, we got buses to go to school, we can walk and it's not that far, and we got shoes, you know what I mean? And, and knowing that my dad brought us over here just to have shoes, just walk to school.
To get the basics, to get the foundations.
Basics and things like that. And I just want to, make sure I represent them well.
Tell us a bit more about FTA.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested to know, the breadth of FTA, what it does, and why you're involved.
Yeah, FTA is just, like, you know, for me, it's everything community, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when it comes down to just to helping out, like, you know, people through sports and even just running clinics, like, you know, through sports and just bettering their next up and coming. Like, you know, we believe that, you know, West Sydney just in general is just huge in sports, so we try to target that area. And like, you know, now, like, you know, with like just some of the stuff that, like, you know, we sort of know now, we want to move away from that and just sort of educate people just in around, like, you know, helping with like businesses and things like that, like I spoke to you about. So yeah, it's all about just giving back to the next generation and just making sure that we can have options for them to choose from. You know, like I said, like, you know, I got mates in lockup, and, like, you know, we don't want, like, you know, the kids to go through that. But if we can give them just that option, you're like, you know, we're doing our job. But it's all about, like, you know, serving our community, like, in the best way we can, and just making sure that, you know, everything that we do, like, it can be a memorable moment for that kid. You know, so we don't like to be boring.
No.
In, like, in the things that we do.
No.
Like, you know, everything's around, like, you know, high energy, and just make sure that, like, you know, the kids are confident in just what they do. And
sort of the community helping the community.
Yeah, man. Just backing, like, you know, even with our social media, we back, like, you know, up and coming brands and things like that. Even though, like, you know, FTA is a brand of itself selling apparel, but if we can just sort of just boost them up as well, you know, like, you know, new coming businesses. And it's always the best when we find out first before they find us, to try to say, hey, can you just post up, like, so, you know, when, like, you know, when we get to identify that and just, you know, just put them up on our stories, it literally makes a lot of people's days, you know. So
I think that's, like, in terms of the strength of a community, and it's only my view, but you know, that's something I've observed in Western Sydney, and I've lived, you know, in a number of states of Australia, and I'm from the bush originally, as you know. But I kick around this community at the moment a fair bit. But I'm nothing to the degree of the thickness that you and others are, right? But one thing I do reflect on in this community is that, you know, I mean, yes, it's got its problems in a number of areas, but there is a genuineness about many people. And I think also, it's all relative, but I think there's also a lack of judgment in this community versus other communities. And I'm not saying there isn't judgment, right? But it's less. And so that's why something like FTA and the work that everyone is doing around that can be so successful, because it gets down to the grassroots. And it's showing that people have people's backs, they're alongside, they're developing, they want to make a change for the better. And particularly, of course, if you have the philosophy of being kind to people, and actually valuing that as you know, as part of your makeup, because you know, you're not just there, you know, looking for the next whatever. Anyways, that's the life according to James, but that's just how I perceive it, right? Like, there is a difference in Western Sydney. I firmly believe that, and in some respects, I would say, you know, well, it's an interesting perspective from someone that's not lived here all the time, right? But I notice it. You know, I notice it. I notice it down the street. I notice it in the coffee shops. I notice it when I'm at Revolutions at the gym. You know. But people want to interact, and I think that's a great starting point.
That's good.
Listen, it's been pretty special talking to you, Oz. Now, I'll give you a pat on the back, because I understand you recently won a New South Wales Council for the Pacific Award for entrepreneurship for your business, eh? That's nice. That's a nice pat on the back for what you've been up to.
Yeah, it was humbling at the same time. So like I said, man. Me and my partner laughed again. You know what I mean? And I think that's just how.
That's how you are.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, like, I don't look at myself as an entrepreneur. Like, I understand there's, like, you know, there's a lot of people out there, like, even in the Pacific community, that's doing so much far greater than, you know, what I'm doing. But just to be acknowledged around that, at first I was like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, how did this even happen? But as soon as I reflected on it, I'm actually honoured just to have that. And then with everything that we spoke about, with our coffee dates, you know what I mean? Like, I really want to help out just the next business owner just in the area, and just having this award will sort of, you know what I mean?
Well, I think it will. And I want to do that as well.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
Yeah.
And, there's something really that makes you feel, warm in the heart about passing on learnings.
Yeah.
To help someone travel a journey a little less harder, perhaps, than the journey that you travelled. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my partner would always discuss things like that, and she would always ask me, man, you just got so much time for people, you know what I mean? Like, how do you have so much energy for people? And I would always just say, man, I just see so much brokenness. As much as there's so much achievements happening in the area, I still see it just by looking at people. When I'm at the train station and things like that, I'm looking at people, they just look miserable, you know what I mean? So if I can sort of just at least change,
some of that,
some of that, and just try to change the perspective of people's mindsets, and that they can do it, they can do it as well, and just just get away from that hole that they're in. It'll be awesome.
Lift yourself up and stand tall.
So that's just one of those goals, and I always believe I can never be a gatekeeper of anything that I'm doing. If I'm able just to can help them out, but I always make sure that they can grow. I'm not going to give them everything, but I'm going to give them some advice in so they can just be better in just what they're doing. That'd be awesome, because I get a couple of apparel companies there's a guy from Melbourne that's keen to meet up with me. He wants to grow. He hasn't seen growth, and I got a guy in Queensland that hit me up last week. Yeah. That wants to fly down just to meet me and just to find I spoke to you about that one. Yeah. So he wants to come down just to have a chat with me. But I think it's going to be more than just a chat. There's much more that those people need. And
yes.
But if I can help them out just by seeing them face to face, they're keen just to come and meet me. If I can help them out, and we're in the same business, you know what I mean?
Well, that's
They're
right.
apparel companies as well. So, but I think if I could just help them out just to be better, than what they were yesterday, it would be sweet.
Well, and you can be in the same business.
Yep.
But the three of you could be looking through a slightly different lens.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
And I love the point you made there about you want to be able to help them out, but they've also got to,
it's the hard work.
They've got to do the all day bit, right? Haven't they?
Yeah.
And that's the mark of a real leader is to know how much guidance you give versus igniting the fire in the belly of the individual that's going to drive the thing to the end, the silver bullet, so to speak.
And truly, in my mindset is always, if I'm able to impact someone and they become better mentally, physically, making more money than myself, hey, it's a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a win for everyone. Because when I see when I see someone that I'm mentoring, just become that, just become that beast in the game. Fire out, man.
Is that a good feeling for
100%,
you? Yeah.
100%, because I know what they were, when they first came to me.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of young brands that sort of come to me, and sometimes I can mentor them, but then it's just that hard work part they just can't.
They can't get.
Get through. So I can try my best just to motivate them, but like I said, it's consistency. You know what I mean? You can be motivated all you want, but as soon as that drops, it's your consistency that pushes you.
It is, and I think you touched on something before.
Yeah.
Because I said, you'd have to be a long-term thinker.
Oh, you have to.
But you said, but James, I focus on today and what I can deliver today and how I'm improving or whatever. And I think, unfortunately with some people in business and in life, our expectations get the better of us.
Yeah.
And we set them because we're told, you must have goals, you must have aspirations, what do you want to do, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. But the trouble is it's the bit in between where that hard work gets severed.
Yeah.
Because it's like, damn it, I couldn't get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you're saying is, try again.
Yeah.
Because incrementally you'll get there.
Yeah.
But focus on the steps, rather than the massive leap.
Yeah.
But that's hard. It's hard for all of us because it's in part it's against human nature, but it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. It's funny that I'm going to say this, but as much as I'm very close to my kids and I'm thinking of being a really good dad to them, yesterday my daughter said to me, oh yeah, can you come play restaurants? And I was just like, oh, sweet. And me thinking, this is what I'm doing. I'm just a good dad, you know what I mean? And then I went there and then I started playing restaurants with her. And my sister comes in and then my sister comes and goes, oh yeah, what were you doing? It's like, yeah, we're playing restaurants. And then you came in. And then she goes, yeah, but it's the first time my dad has ever played with me. Oh. You know what I mean? So then I instead of me just being offended by it, it sort of made me reflect, the things that I actually think, that I'm doing well, I'm probably not doing well in this space, So I said to my partner, I was like, man, I need to play more restaurants with my daughter.
Yeah, that's classic.
So instead of me just trying to get offended and just be like, no, I'm pretty sure I do heaps for my daughter, I got to be true to myself, you know what I mean? I got to make sure I go to bed at night and just be true to myself. So it was good. It was good that my daughter said that, and I was like, don't worry.
So Kendall
said that to my
she
sister.
knows, right?
Yeah.
So I can say this.
Yeah.
From my experience, for what it's worth, successful business owners are supreme at reflecting on themselves and their capabilities. Yeah. And they almost take themselves out of themselves and sit themselves up here and look down and say, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. And it's a very clever skill. And not everyone in life and in business, in my estimation, has got it. It's hard to actually extricate yourself and cut yourself off from the emotions of the moment and say, but hold on, did I really perform well in that? What could I have done better?
Yeah.
What was I trying to do there?
Yeah.
And it's critical. It's critical in heated situations. Yeah. But it's also critical in everyday life and in business.
Yeah.
And it seems so simple, but it's not.
Yeah.
And what restaurant would you like the most? What foods do you like, mate?
Oh man, I love anything, to be honest, man. It's funny, I sort of just kept doing upper level just from the pubs, and now me and my missus are trying all these places in the city. So I sort of have respect for those little small meals that come out. You've got to look at them a different way, haven't you? When I first went to just to a nice restaurant, and I looked how small it was. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. How am I going to satisfy myself?
But then when I taste, I was like, wow. Now I get it. Now I know. But it's funny that the whole story with my daughter is good. It was funny because I could easily just just went, no way, I always play with you. You know what I mean?
But don't ever take anything for granted, I guess, is what it's about.
Yeah. So, and I said to my daughter before she went to bed, I said, hey, what are we playing tomorrow?
Next time I ring you up for coffee, you'll be playing restaurants. I won't be able to get you. No, that's good. But that's good. That's good. Listen, what have you learned in the last 4 or 5 years of TRXX? What's a couple of key learnings do you think that you'd like to share with our listeners around running a business and starting a business?
I think for me, it's just there's just been a lot of peace of mind knowing that I can have more money. And I also learned like, during this period when I try to speak about money to a lot of people are they're scared to speak about it. So that's just one of the many things that I've learned through it, that a lot of people are afraid to speak about finance and money. But at the same time, now that I've am making more money that I have, just being able just to use it as a tool, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Instead of being a crazy spender, I've learned just to be patient and just making sure that I'm putting in the right places, investing, putting into my savings and things like that. So
So taking deliberate choices, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, but also, it's also taught me that, you know, like, even when you get knocked back, you know what I mean, from like, you know, contracts and like, you know, clients like that, it's taught me how to sort of just understand why people, you know, do knock your back, you know. So, and I'm okay at taking it, you know. So I don't get like, offended or like, you know, or disappointed in that.
Yeah.
I always just believe in myself that, hey, there's another one coming just around the corner, you know what I mean? And it happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you know, just even rocking up here today, you know, just getting the call when I was outside, you know. So I always just believe, like, you know, there's always like another phone call, another email, just coming today, you know. So I don't lose myself if someone doesn't want to come through me just because of pricings and things like that. I always know that, you know, someone will see the value in my brand and my company, and that's what I'm focused on.
I love that. Like, in other words, the knockback is the best form of market research you could have. Right?
Yeah.
And that's such a positive attitude.
And it's important to ask why. I always ask why.
Yeah.
You know, so like a lot of people just say, oh, sorry, man, our budget just doesn't suit. But I'm also the person that, you know, can be like, oh, we definitely help you out. But then some people are like, oh, you want to help me out now? But they didn't tell me that price was the issue. So I also understand, like, I don't want to get into an argument, and then I just, you know, like, respectfully just say, oh, it's okay if you're happy to go with them, you know, it's all good. So I try not to, you know, get the flames higher, you know. So.
But the why question is critical, right?
Yep.
And you know, this is not statistical, but I reckon 7 out of 10 business owners wouldn't ask the why question.
Yep.
Right? Having had a knockback.
Yeah.
Right? Where you know, it tends to be, oh, well, I didn't want to, so we'll move on.
Yeah.
Right? Or, you know, or they'll sort of, you know, seethe about it behind the scenes. The why question is a beautiful question because it puts the other person on the spot, but it shows that you're interested to understand. Yeah. And I think that's a great learning. I think that's...
Yeah, but man, that's just the few things that I've learned. And one of my most recent ones was just, you know, my image, and I just slipped my hair. So it's one of those things that I guess that I just took just because I just wanted just to like, you know, not just better myself, but just like, you know, better the opportunities that I have in future.
So tell me about that, because when I met you, you had these bloody long locks, and I saw you the other day, and I thought, oh, gee, is that Ozzy?
Yeah, I just had to do it. Like, I just had good feedback, like, you know, from schools and things like that. So, like, you know, when I rocked up to schools, and, you know, once you get close to these teachers and principals, you know, like I said, like, I'm pretty cheeky over the phone when I'm, like, you know, start speaking to them, and then a lot of them, you know, start getting cheeky back, and, you know, it's just one of those feedback, you know, when. There was a school in Campbelltown, like, and I said, oh, you know, when you first walked in, our staff was scared of you. and then I said to, oh, what is it, guys? And then they always refer back to my, you know what I mean, just to my longer, man, just my ponytail that I had. So, and like, I didn't take offense to it, but when it happened, like, you know, again, you know what I mean? When a principal came looking for me, and she walked back into her office, and she called the reception, and she goes, I thought, Oz was here from TRXX. And then I can hear the reception lady goes, you walked right past him. So I think they just assumed, you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. Like, I'll never take offense to that. Like, for me, it's always learning, you know what I mean? I take it as something as, like, I need to, you know, teach myself to just be more presentable. But like I said, it's always positive.
I like that, right? Because I know for a fact it hasn't changed you one bit, right? And it wasn't designed to change you. But the way I articulate it is, you thought about your clients and prospective clients, and you thought to yourself, I need to owe them some respect in terms of how I present myself to them.
And I've always knew, like, you know, early on, that people judge you first before you even speak. You know what I mean? So I always knew that, and it was good that I had that feedback, and it was positive because they're just close to me now, you know. And like, some staff being, some kids, like, even when I walk into the schools, some kids are looking at me just like, And then, so it's good that I've learned that, like, early on in the years, and I'm happy to, do a comb over.
Yeah.
Just to get that client in. Like I said, I just don't want to lose a contract, just because of.
Oh no, I love that. But I mean, there's a learning in that for all of us, right? It's your hair on parade, right? But it may not be your hair. It might be something else. But it's about putting yourself in your client or prospective client's shoes and thinking about the things that matter for them.
Yeah.
And it's part of the offering, right?
Yeah.
Like I dare say your brand TRXX is stronger than you, but you are a strong part of the brand.
Yeah.
And so when your mug finds its way in front of someone, it's representing the brand, right? And as is your personality. I know that.
People call me up and say, "Hey, they'll love you anyways. Why did you cut your hair?" But I think for me it was just more it just reflects back on my family. If I don't get this contract just because of my hair, you know what I mean? Some guy can just snip. Yeah. And that's all I really care about.
I love that. Listen, Oz, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man.
Us. Hey, it was a real treat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And love hearing you talk about business and life.
Yeah.
And religion and your family and Samoa.
Yeah.
And let's hope we can have many more.
All day.
Appreciate
it, man.
Thanks, that's good. So that was Ozzy Scanlan from TRXX, a clothing and apparel business in Western Sydney, based in St Mary's, looking after sporting groups, schools, community groups and workwear. And didn't we learn some stuff about humbleness, confidence, self-reflection, starting a business, managing your growth, and chipping away at the end outcome. It was a great opportunity to catch up with Oz. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to this podcast and follow us on Instagram at JamesC_Price. And if you're up for improving your business, gaining access to knowledge, insights, our team, and consultations, join our online membership portal. Visit jpabusiness.com.au.